Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. It's Wednesday, new release day. I've got help me out on this episode, of course, from the UK connection and in the prog seat, all the way from Scotland, Mr. Steven Reid. What's happening, my friend?
Yeah, I am good, Peter. I am good. Looking forward to talking about our genuine classic album here.
That's right. We've got something brand new coming from the Jethro Tull camp, and Steven's going to show it off for you right here and now.
More importantly,
look at that.
They've gone the whole hog is what they've done. Okay, so this is the 50th anniversary edition of Thick as a Brick, for anyone that doesn't know. Jethro Tull's fifth album, released on the 3rd of March 1972. It was released on Chrysalis here in Europe, and Reprise, I think it was released on everywhere else. And we're kind of in classic lineup territory. You've obviously got Ian Anderson, vocals, flute, and a whole lot more. Martin Barr on guitars, John Evan on keys, Jeffrey Hammond on bass, and making his debut with the band, you've got Barrymore Barlow on drums. Now, I think that a lot of people kind of view this album and what came before, Aqualung. This is where Tull kind of got off that early sound and moved into something more progressive. Okay. Arguably, they would morph out of that again quite quickly, it has to be said, because one thing Jethro Tull have never done is stayed in one place for too long. But even the fact that this whole venture was conceived as one long, continuous piece of music that was only split because it was on one of these things.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, tells you that we are really as prog, arguably, as Jethro Tull really ever got. And of course, the whole thing is adapted, okay, from an epic poem by Gerald Bostock.
That's right.
Clearly doesn't exist. He's also discredited in a variety of bizarre ways on the front of this fantastic thing. Okay. Now, I would be surprised if anyone that's watching a review of Thick as a Brick doesn't actually know what it sounds like, because if you're into Tull, well, you've got this realistically. So the question would be, with all the different versions that are out there, why would you be interested in Tull when they're accessible but remarkably obtuse? That to me is what this album is, and I love that about it. Okay, so this is a half-speed master. Now, that seems to certainly have been a term that's bandied about an awful lot, okay? And some people have kind of asked what it is, okay? So during the process, playing back the master audio at half speed makes difficult to cut high frequencies more manageable, resulting in an improved soundstage and smoother high frequency response. Now, if you don't believe me, that's what it says on the hype sticker, okay?
Yeah.
Now, anyone that watches me on the channel, on any of the things that I'm on, will tell you that I like the hype sticker to go back on the front of my things. Now, I can't put it on the front of this. Are they for me, Peter?
Eventually they will be. Yes, indeed. I've been saving them. I got a lot in here. Yeah.
Well, yes, I prefer to put them back on the front, to replace them on the front of the CD or the record once I've taken. Everything seems to come in cellophane these days. They never used to. Please stop doing that. This was a nightmare to get out of cellophane. Okay, I do understand this one maybe had to come through the post, but actually opening this when it was like this was really difficult. But anyway, okay, so this master was done by none other than Stephen Wilson, the hot property in remastering basically everything. And I can only tell you that it sounds absolutely fabulous. It really does. Now, I am not an audiophile. I can't pretend to say that I've got 52 different versions of this album. I have more than I care to admit, admittedly.
I have
okay.
Myself. I'll grab the. Keep talking. I'll grab my box here.
Yeah, I have at least 4, and because the box has also been reissued, I do have that on pre-order. I must admit. But this sounds absolutely phenomenal. The sound is full, but it's not over the top. It's not been brick walled, so you don't put it on and immediately kind of have to cover your ears because it's all shrill. I'm really impressed, and it is probably, he says, not having that set that you've got there, Peter, not yet. I will soon. This is what I'm going to put on if I want to listen to this album. And I must admit that even as a guy that's got a lot of vinyl and still plays vinyl regularly, because I'm lazy and the CDs tend to be nearer, I still tend to put on a CD. I will probably make the effort to actually go and find this version and take it off the shelves and listen to it because it sounds fantastic. Really.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the same remix as this, which came out 10 years ago already. But most people who are audiophiles are like, well, but there's a different sound when you play the vinyl versus the CD, right? Again, I haven't listened to vinyl in, 30 some odd years. So to me, I'm the wrong person to ask for that. But I do know lots of people who listen to both, and they will say that, at times, depending on the vinyl that you're listening to and the way it was mastered, it's a little bit of a warmer sound. So, but there's so many people who were like held off buying these things because they wanted these Tull releases on vinyl. They want these remixes on vinyl.
My general rule of thumb is, and I don't stick to this religiously because cost and availability and all that kind of stuff. My general rule of thumb is that if an album was originally released on vinyl, I quite like to have it on vinyl because that is what it was made to be played on. That is what it was produced for, and there's analog and there's digital and there's compromise between the two. So depending on where the source and all that kind of thing is, well, if it was made to be in a record, it was actually made to be played on a record. If it was made in the CD age and in the latter years of vinyl, when you held your vinyl and they went like this.
Yeah, like late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it was so thin you could barely see it if you held it horizontally. I tend to go for the CD version. That is not something I really stick by, but it is a general rule of thumb, I suppose. But then you do get things like this, because to my knowledge, they haven't redone the paper version of this. I don't think since it was first released. I don't think. And it really is the whole thing again. Okay, so you get also like on page 7, there is a spoof review of the album, which is obviously written by Ian Anderson, as well worth a little read. But you do have your quizzes, and you've got your weekend television with the long-range weather forecasts, which covers the next year, okay, and all this kind of thing.
So that's real accurate.
Yeah, well, there's nothing in this that is particularly accurate. There are some genuine stories about kind of things like I think it's like World War II pilot and various things in here where you read them and kind of go, oh, actually, okay. But most of it is a bit of a spoof. Whether it's not all for laughs, some of it is for laughs. But I have loved going through this because I must admit that I haven't read all of this up until now. And this, I suppose, is part of the fun of it. I also don't know, because I've never had an original, as you'll gather from the fact that I haven't read all these before. I don't know if this is how the vinyl was actually held, but there is actually a little sleeve in here, the way they've put it together. So your record is actually quite safe in here. It doesn't just fall out the bottom. It isn't just a newspaper. And the edges, as you can see, are cardboard. So yeah, I am going to bag this up when I'm finished because it is quite flimsy, but it is beautiful and I really like it. So yeah, I must admit that I am not always moved to buy the reissues on vinyl when they come out. Because the CDs tend to have all the extra tracks and the Blu-rays and all of the stuff that you've got in there, Peter. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, that's a stunning package, isn't it? Look at it. It is.
Yeah, the only thing is I wish there were more extras on this box set as far as like, extra tracks and things, which you get with a lot of the other Tull box sets. You get like lots of live stuff. This is basically just the original album, remixed and with all the DVD features, and surround sound and whatnot. So that's really the only extra stuff you get here. There's really not any extra stuff as compared to the other box sets, but still it sounds great. The remix is great, and you get it on the DVD, which you can blast on all the different audio options on your home theater system. So
yeah, thankfully and hopefully it's a sign of things to come, that one is being reissued, that box, because they have become, some of them, not all of them, have become really rare and therefore very expensive. and I wasn't smart enough to get on top of all of them when they came out. So hopefully, there you go. Yeah, hopefully that is a sign that somebody somewhere's kind of going, well, actually, there's two sides to this. We could reissue all of these and make a little bit more money, which is fair enough. But also for idiots like me that didn't jump on them at the time and bought other things that month and now look at the price and kind of go, then hopefully I can get it at something approaching a reasonable price. Because the thing as well is those sets really were reasonably priced.
When they first came out, yeah. They were, I think they were between $40 and $50 US here when they came out. But if you didn't get them right away, you know, I mean, shit, I paid Minstrel and the Gal. I think I paid almost $300 for that. Yeah, so I just had to have it, right? And I was like, yeah.
But for some of them, those are the prices, because I've looked at all of the ones that I don't have. I've got about half. And there are some out there that you can still get for a reasonable price, and there are some that you most definitely cannot. There you go. So, I mean, I suppose my only criticism about this actual thing, the packaging and various things, is I have found it as a little difficult to get the record in and out of the sleeve because of the way it's been designed. And therefore, my one actually came folded and all that kind of stuff. If that is where I'm nitpicking, we must be doing okay. So yeah, I must admit that I am really quite blown away. Sounds fantastic. I'm not going to tell you it's like I've suddenly heard an album like I've never heard it before, because I've listened to it that many times that just wouldn't be true. Some of these, not so much in the Tull issue, the ones, the Marillion boxes are very similar. And the Fugazi remix, which we actually discussed earlier on the Facebook, the Messenger chat we've got, is that is one of the very few the ones that I've listened to and kind of gone, oh wow, okay, I'm hearing an album in a way I hadn't heard it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And suddenly I had to reappraise an album that I kind of thought sat further down the pecking order and realised it was purely because I really agreed with the band and didn't like the production. That's not what you're getting here, because Thick as a Brick, from when it came out, is a good sounding album. But this is my favourite version of it that I've got. As I say, I've got 4 or 5 or 6 versions from over the years. And it's seldom that I will go and look at the new vinyl versions, but it has made me think about this half-speed thing, which seems to be very fashionable. It's not always very cheap. But if they all sound like this, well, I've got a little bit of thinking to do, I have to say. Yeah. So yeah, so that is Thick as a Brick, 50th anniversary, half-speed master, reissued on vinyl. It is a thing of beauty. And if you love your vinyl, you love your Tull.
It's a no-brainer.
It really is. It absolutely is. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Cool. So there you have it, everybody. Thick as a Brick. Once again, seems like Thick as a Brick always comes back. It's like, hey, celebrate me, right? Why not? It's one of the classics of all time. So thanks for Steven for showing off that wonderful 50th anniversary reissue there. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together, reading the newspaper all the damn time. For Steven Reid, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. We got more new album reviews coming up here today, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.